I went because it made sense. Regardless of the life insurance issues, knowing certainly brings down your monthly premium. It helps to repair. I don't mean emotionally. A person could spend a lifetime doing that. Most people do. I mean the practical. I hate the idea of leaving, not having given my family good notice. My sister would rather not know. Your fear won't kill you unless you let it, I said. I mean, the chances of being eaten alive by a giant rodent are pretty slim now, aren't they? What if I end up like you? She said, very tactful. Well, at least I have a name for my fear. At which point, Maddie, my niece, started asking questions. She's just a child. And exactly the reason I wanted to go and get my slip. Family comes first. It always has with my sister and I. I didn't want her to suffer any nasty surprises. Maddie's at that stage where life happens to you. You know, childhood. It's all very nice and fluffy. But by the time you're old enough to make your own decisions, half the important ones have already been made for you. By the time my sister and I were old enough, it was already too late. Our parents were gone, and the damage was done. The foundations laid, so to speak. But there we are. Not that we weren't well looked after by the agencies. Clothes on our back and all that. In a strange way, I rather looked forward to telling Maddie when I was going to die. At least I was being honest. Good design, apart from being difficult to come by, is an art and a science. Practically speaking, all a building needs is 4 walls and a roof. Everything else is extra. If the client wants it to look like a shiny trifle, the architect must oblige. It's not her place to question. Her job is to answer the brief. Mind you, I've learned a few techniques over the years for getting my own way. Sometimes planting a little wisp of an idea into a client's head is all it takes. My sister calls me egocentric. I told her straight away. Sarah Brown. Naturally, I pursued all the logical avenues to discover its meaning. I wrote to the company, I wrote to the charities. I asked everyone I knew who had a slip. The letter from the company said, there are no misunderstandings on the part of the machine, and that in specific instances such as this, the meaning is 99.999% of the time understood by the subject of the test. The funny thing is, I've never even met a Sarah Brown. I mean, there must be hundreds of them, but I don't know any. I did everything I could to find her. Scoured phone books, hired private investigators to flush out connections. There simply were none. Some people suggested it could be accidental. I wouldn't know who or when. I'd just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But in those cases, it always tells you how. Manslaughter, climbing accident, murderous fucking rampage! Sarah Brown. Just a name on a piece of paper. try to imagine what she looks like. She's a mirror, in a way. I see myself with her eyes. I named my last project after her. I felt the need to bring her into the world, birth her, as it were. It occurred to me that in the absence of a tangible Sarah Brown, I could invent her. They broke ground on Miss Brown last week. Her foundations are laid. I introduced my sister to a new partner. He was one of those peripheral vision guys. Junior partner. Spends a lot of time at his desk. Great with details. Sort of guy you don't notice until he said something, and even then it's sort of fleeting. I've never been particularly emotional. I thought about having a relationship once, but nothing ever really came up. I've always been happy, though. Work's been a good friend. My sister was always the one that took the risks. Risks of the heart, anyway. Meeting with the builders went well. They were very accommodating. They don't often get the psychology of a building. They made a big fuss of pointing out that the change in materials and the spacing of the supports would weaken the structure. Well, that's the point. Didn't tell them that, of course. I decided I would tell Maddie everything. She's old enough to understand. My sister wouldn't have understood. Besides, she wouldn't have wanted to know. She's a clever girl, Maddie. She's growing up so fast. Telling her felt like coming full circle in a way. She'll know. And I hope she understands that knowing is always better than not knowing. My sister calls me a coward because I have no faith. Can't just leave things be, let life run its course. But what's the point of all this progress, of the death machine, if not to know? As my sister always says, it's nice to have something to look forward to.